As a bike enthusiast who enjoys and supports Madison's and Dane County's bike path network, not all proposed bike paths are environmentally friendly or sound. Sad to say, but the rollout of Madison's controversial West Area Plan, which is under the political guidance of Mayor Sadia Rhodes Conway, has more to do with the behind-the-scenes political pressure by a small group of bike lobbyists who have supported the mayor and many city council members over the last 5 years. With gross disregards to mitigating today's climate crisis, this bike lobby group and the mayor want to remove thousands of mature trees in Madison's greenways to build 10-foot wide, non-porous asphalt bike paths, which will increase toxic stormwater runoff into our lakes and worse yet, increase the CO2 greenhouse gas emissions by removing thousands of trees which are currently turning CO2 into oxygen and clean air. As you will see in this video, the autocratic rollout of this controversial West Side plan by the mayor and her city planners has angered hundreds of city residents who were in attendance at this recent meeting, along with environmental groups from the UW and neighborhood organizations. Worse yet, the mayor has also slipped into her autocratic controlled planning process a radical change to Madison's single-family residential zoning ordinance, which would allow, over time, big developers to buy up homes throughout Madison and build 10-story apartment complexes, which has angered even more neighborhood groups, environmentalists, and more citizens are now getting involved throughout the city. After reviewing this video, I encourage you to get involved by Googling climateaction2034.com.
Public hearing, it's not a notice public hearing, it's a planning meeting.
How do we give feedback to you tonight?
Yes, so the feedback can be done a number of different ways. Number one would be talking to staff one-on-one, but because we have so many people, that's going to be difficult, obviously. So we did provide cards. We'll have, so there's cards at the front with the webpage address on them, the half sheets. That is where comments can be given as well. Okay, so we understand you're not happy. We get it. Okay, we've heard people say that, and we hear that in the booths. So if you want to hear a presentation, we can do that now, and I think that's why some folks are here. That's part of our program tonight. So we're going to get going with the presentation.
We want to give our concern.
I think someone needs to look at how much money came to the mayor's campaign from real estate developers. This seems more like a plan that's benefiting real estate developers as opposed to the community.
We want to share our concerns neighbor to neighbor. I see people from all across the West area. In my neighborhood, I don't think the people in the city are listening to us. And many of you feel the same way. Give her the mic. Give her the mic. She needs the mic. Give her the mic. Give her the mic.
Let her speak.
We scheduled a presentation and we'll have opportunities for interaction later on.
Let her speak.
As a forum to answer the people's questions and let everyone hear everyone's questions instead of doing the divide and conquer of the small breakout groups that occur.
Alderman Tischler and I met with the city attorney yesterday, and they clarified this would be a public meeting. And we tried to basically point out that we're tired of listening to drafts, and we wanted an open, cognitive meeting with people to give their input and to answer questions. Now, the Zoom meeting realized that they said what a bike path in areas that, in fact, use existing roadway. And you've talked about rezoning, and basically,
we're going to be...
yeah, it's a major issue, and you guys are ramming this down in a very authoritarian way, and it has major implications on every neighborhood. When you talk about rezoning for high density, and what was your reason? For future residents that come here, we're going to rezone. Now, we want to be heard.
My name is Jenny Iskandar. I live in Saw Creek, and I have this binder that I'm carrying around that has all of the public comments that we have submitted to the Transportation Commission and the Planning Commission. We have petitions signed by more than 300 residents, and we basically have not gotten any change in the plan since we brought this up with the city back in October. We've asked for them to meet with us. They've just told us to come to public meetings like the one we went to today.
The future land use map is the backbone of these area plans.
You should have had a big auditorium. You knew in advance because we told you. Why are you walking away? What are you afraid of?
What is the estimated cost for that path going from Tree Lane to Old Sauk?
Less than 1 mile.
What's the cost?
We haven't done the design yet, so I don't have an estimated cost. If you look at
Well,
all
let
the
me ask you,
maps-
why even do a path when that whole block is surrounded by bike lanes?
We have a concept map on the screen for the west area.
I heard that the cost for doing the bike trail from Tree Lane down to Old Sauk was going to be estimated around $7 million. And we all know that when a government estimates something, chances are it's going to go higher up in the cost in the final end. But I don't understand why they want to put a trail there when the block that we live on is surrounded by bike lanes. What's the purpose of spending $7 million to cut a block in half? I also have heard that the city is $23 million in the red. Why add another 7+ to the debt?
I just feel like they have all of these meetings and they're always just saying how they're having public engagement, but it's not really public engagement. It's really, they're just talking at us. They do not really want to consider what we have to say, and they're not listening to what we have to say. They just want to go on with what they're doing and check a box saying, okay, we included the public, they said what they wanted, now we're doing the plan. And that's pretty much how I feel about this process.
You guys say there is a West Area plan, and then there is a comprehensive plan. And the comprehensive plan wants high rises. You guys don't agree, supposedly, but you're sneaking in a provision which is going to allow up to 12-story heights. Now, the developer comes in and said, well, it's going to be much cheaper for me and much more lucrative to build 12 stories, and I'm going to look up like that. I'm very much against this. This is a sneaky way to deal with this plan. I am very upset because I'm very upset. English is not my language, but English is my second language, okay? I read that document over and over. I'm 84, and I thought, well, my brain is not geared. It's too old to understand what's going on in here. But I still don't understand, and I can't trust you guys what you're explaining to me. Because once you put these lures for 12-story high buildings, and the developer says, well, I'm going to build that, and what are you going to do about it? Please be transparent. I grew up in a country that did not allow me to stand up and talk like this. Okay? I grew up in a country that was leveled.
Regarding the maximum.
And I lived in high-rise apartments. This is my dream. This is my happiness.
So if I can answer that question real quick. The only place this plan is showing or recommending maximum heights is where there are none right now. So right now, in many of these areas.
And to hear this evening that the reason this bike path is still in the plan at this stage of the process, which is next to final, and to hear that that is the case because one of the planners who is, as we understand, a strong bike advocate himself, made the case to the Plan Commission, and they said leave the path in the plan. When asked by me, well, what about our position? Why weren't any of us invited in that meeting? He reassured that, he had conveyed our concerns to the Plan Commission. I truly doubt that had our concerns been laid out as we have laid them out repeatedly in our process of trying to engage and trying to have some impact, that they would not have come to that same conclusion.
And when we ask them who is for the bike path, they give us some general idea of people wanting more off-street bike opportunities, which is, I can't imagine that anyone in the West Area Plan who answered that question had this bike path in mind. So, we've had a lot of feedback. We've provided them a lot of feedback and have had no change in the process.
We have attended meeting after meeting after meeting, 80 plus petitions, letters after letters after letters expressing our objection to the decimation in the woods that this proposed bike path will cause. There has been virtually no support given for this path apart from one or two bike lobbyists or advocates. We're not against bike paths, but this is the wrong place for a bike path.
And generally, like we saw today, most people in the room are against this bike path.
Who here is opposed to this plan? Show of hands if you're opposed to this plan, just so we can document a show of hands showing how many people are opposed to this. Okay, that's like nearly everybody. Opposed.
So I think.
Okay, that's like